We are live back here. The three of us are in Brooklyn, but in several different apartments in Brooklyn. This is the Sound Off, our freeform segment. It's the Society Sound Off, the No Name Cinema Society. Hi, I'm Jonathan Betchler. My lower third doesn't work, but theirs does. So I'll introduce you to them momentarily. In the meantime, let me explain what the Sound Off is. It's basically a freeform segment after we had discussions, and I'll show you the movies we discussed earlier tonight. But now that we've done that, this is just basically a free-for-all. We're just going to talk and talk about some things that we want to talk about. Davey's going to have a diatribe. I'm going to do my top 5 action comedies based on our conversation, Romancing the Stone, that we just did. So that's what the Sound Off's all about. My cohorts for the Sound Off. Who gets to get introduced first? I'm going to go with our elitist. Jay Money, welcome to the Sound Off.
Everything sucks.
That is Jay Money. Davey Joe is our other... he's visiting Brooklyn from Charlotte.
Yeah, man.
And we won't see you this time. It's sad.
Yeah, well, you know, when we did.
It was fun. It was the first time we saw each other in a long time. And you can see it, ladies and gentlemen. You can see us get together for the first time in one of our vlogs. I think it's vlog number 14. It's doing pretty well on YouTube. So check out that. So the other thing I want to tell you guys, this is our 20th Sound Off.
That's amazing.
Wow.
How do you feel about how the Sound Off has evolved since we started?
It's pretty amazing.
I feel like we are Sound Off pros.
Sound Off pros, Davey Joe?
Yeah, 20 of them, huh?
That's all I used to say. He just repeats what I said. Is all I get. So.
We're almost able to drink legally now. That's amazing.
Speaking of, so guys, yep, you're ahead of me, Jay Money. This is basically was our evening. We started the evening talking about the John Madden, Jessica Chastain joint, Miss Sloane. They're reteaming, and then Indie Spotlight was Drive, our least indie that we've done. Was Drive from 2011. We just did our classic movie discussion of the evening, Romancing the Stone. But how do you feel guys when Romancing the Stone went? Swimmingly. And this is our Sound Off now. It's 10 o'clock Eastern, 7:02, 7 o'clock, 7:02 Pacific. And thank you guys for watching and doing the Sound Off with us. So before I get into the diatribe, a couple things I want to clean up. First of all, with Miss Sloane, what we didn't get a chance to talk about is we've done 2 collaborations now between John Madden and Jessica Chastain. In episode 27.2, we talked about The Debt. How do you feel like the 2 compare?
What was The Debt about again? No, that was the one with Helen Mirren, right?
Yeah, they were Jewish Mossad agents.
Right. See, I can sort of remember some stuff if you put it. I thought that this was actually a better working of the material. I think The Debt had so much stuff it was trying to cover over so much of a different period of time that it kind of got lost in itself. Although I guess, ironically, we're talking about structure earlier. I mean, The Debt also had a lot of interesting sort of structural stuff going on. So
yeah, I like the back and forth in The Debt maybe a little more. I think that worked because the parallel between the past and the present I thought was really interesting. Davey Joe, I think you like The Debt better. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think maybe a little. I did like Miss Sloane. Like I didn't leave the theater angry. It's almost like to me it could have been so much better.
We really didn't get a chance to talk about the legal stuff in Miss Sloane, and I feel like that was actually one of the things I had the most questions about.
Davey, any quick legal comments about Miss Sloane?
I mean, throw some questions at me if you have something.
I don't really, Davey. Jay Money, you brought it up.
Yeah, I just wonder how realistic any of the representation of stuff was ultimately.
I mean, the constitutional stuff.
Maybe it doesn't do constitutions.
What's that? Right. Yeah, I don't know. It sure it seemed reasonable. There's 2 kind of prongs of law in that movie. The stuff about the paperwork as far as
Yeah.
Such. and then the constitutional stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I guess the Heller is the case that kind of controls on gun control now. It's the one where they overturned the DC kind of ban on handguns. I read it once. Anyway, the legal stuff, as far as the Second Amendment stuff, seemed pretty reasonable.
So it's a long way to
But
say
I don't know
check
anything
that.
about that lobbying.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Done and done. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is we didn't talk about the we all talked a little bit about the cinematography of Drive, our indie spotlight of the evening. But what we failed to mention is it was the same cinematographer that had been in that we've done. First of all, it was our second Carey Mulligan indie spotlight, having done Shame in episode 23.2. And there's our second indie spotlight with the same cinematographer. And I bring it up because Jay Money, you know, buried the cinematographer, the same cinematographer for this other film. He really lit into him because it's the same cinematographer in the same year that did The Conspirator, an episode we did 24.2. And Jay Money was so mean to that cinematographer, but here he is now with Drive, and I wonder what Jay Money has to say about that.
Well, in The Conspirator it was formed around a certain look that was going for a period piece that I personally didn't think landed. JB obviously did.
As did Davy Joe. I rewatched the episode, and Davy Joe had some very flattering things to say about the cinematography.
Oh yeah, sure. I know that Davy Joe was also, I think, more in your camp than mine. That's fine. You guys can be wrong as much as you want. I think he redeemed himself in Drive. I mean, look, I don't want to make it sound like I don't think the cinematographer is worth his weight or something like that. I'm sure he's great. I just don't think what they did in The Conspirator actually worked one way or the other.
Well, Newton Thomas Seigel, Tom, as some people call him, he called me and he was very upset. Like, he cried a little bit. He just felt like he didn't appreciate.
I'm sure he's really upset by this random dude in Brooklyn that's like, oh, I think it's a little bit too Barbara Walters for me. I don't think I can take this. It's
Barbara
fine.
Walters. Oh my God.
With a little, you know, like smear some Vaseline on a lens and let's see what happens kind of effect going on. But that's okay.
That's the kind of statement that has nothing, no concept of cinematography whatsoever. But that's okay. So anyway, Davy Joe, you're notoriously quiet.
That's right.
Classic Davy Joe. Classic.
He's just like, get to my diatribe, get to my diatribe. No, I've got more. I've got more fun stuff. And no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Slow your roll, Jay Money. With those photos. Diatribes first, by the way, but not yet. Do you get the email I sent you? You did, right, Jay Money?
Yeah. I don't.
The next thing is I wanted to talk to you, Jay Money, about, or maybe both of you, guys. A movie that we've talked about is coming back to Film Forum, a classic.
Go on.
He's got his pen ready. Do you guys remember episode 27.3?
Hell yes.
No.
And I mentioned this because Jay Money in particular was a big fan of this movie. Davy Joe thought it was a little too bright, though.
Ooh. Hang on.
All right.
Hang on. What do you think it was?
There it is. Too bright, Davy Scale. The Lion in Winter coming to Film Forum, Jay Money, December 16th to the 27th. And I'm mentioning this because Davey wants this show to be a resource, and people that are in New York or New York area come up December 26th through the 27th, and you can decide for yourself whether or not Lion in Winter was too bright. And it's going to be shown on film, so maybe the projector will be darker than his DVD output.
I don't think I'll be able to catch that. That's really unfortunate, actually. I would love to see it on the screen.
Right? It could be a fun one. I'm going to be Film Forum on Saturday night. We've got a double feature, a Bubsy Berkeley double feature that we're going to see that Davey's going to miss out on.
This Saturday?
It's this Saturday after our CMS double feature. I'm going to see 4 movies on Saturday.
You're doing 4 movies on Saturday. I was going to say, yeah, you're really cramming it in there.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nice little Saturday.
I love the Bubsy Berkeley stuff, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on a future show. Speaking of future shows, segues. I've got this little book here that relates to our finale that's coming up. See this? This is exciting. I'm doing a lot of prep See this?
I can't see anything, so I'm going to assume it's something cool.
It is an almanac for 1966.
Oh,
This
hey,
is
look
our
at that.
major year and coming up, and I think I can announce the date. Thursday, February 23rd is going to be our year in review. We're going to do our top 10 films of 2016. We're going to do our Oscar preview on Thursday, February 23rd, and we're going to do 1966 in review. Since our 1990 in review show was so popular this past February, we're going to do 1966, 50 years ago, so I'm doing all sorts of research. I've already watched, 20 films from 1966.
Yeah.
Jay Money and I are going to watch another one on Saturday together, a surprise one you don't know what's coming. Davey, have you watched any?
No, but I'll get there.
So yeah, it's so anyway, 1966. I wanted to use the almanac to promote the date and so forth and so on. So and we're gonna I'm doing a lot of research into the year, the music, the TV, the sports and stuff. So I'll be fully briefed for the 1966 review show. If you follow me, my tweets, then you know what I'm talking about. Because one of my vlogs too. Do you guys see the vlog where I put a mask on?
Yes, that was a little enticing and I don't know, scary for me to watch that. I felt a tingle inside. I don't know, something.
I put on a masquerade mask because it was the 50th anniversary in November 28th, 1966. Truman Capote threw one of the most famous parties in New York, the black and white masquerade ball.
Just up the street from where you are now, I believe. Yeah.
What's that?
I think he was just up the street from where you are now.
That's where he lived, yeah. But that is correct. But the party was at the Plaza. And we are well out of time. We're well past our time now. We should have been done the diatribe by now, but that's okay. We're doing fun. Let's start the diatribe, shall we?
Sure.
It's time for Davey's diatribe. The neighbors are probably going crazy. All right, Davey. So we've got a couple topics here, and you're gonna rant on one of them here.
Give me number 3.
You didn't even see them all. But you knew it would be 3 numbers. So, all right, number 3. It's funny because I'm out of town, so I don't have my index card. So I just crossed out what we talked about last time and put a new one down. So apparently, number 3 is what you picked last time as well. So this is what our new topic is. Can you read it?
Words campaigning.
Words campaigning. So it's the season is upon us. We've already had the National Award Review, New York Film Critics, LA Film Critics have all opined. Any Spirit Award nominations are out. Critics' Choice nominations are out. Golden Globes are going to be upon us very shortly. And all throughout Los Angeles, mostly Los Angeles, a little bit New York, there are screenings of these awards contenders. And the Academy has put into place, and they've been constantly changing the rules associated with awards campaigning, because some films run the risk of becoming ineligible based on how they treat these events. Davey Joe, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's important that you that people don't think that the vote is bought. You know, I do think it's important.
And that has been Davey's diatribe, everybody. Thank you very much for participating. Moving on. Just kidding. Keep going, Davey.
No. What do you think? Let's riff. What do you think?
Let's riff. Well, I mean, specifically the new rules this year. Initially, banquets of any kind were forbidden, and you could have screenings with Q&As, but you couldn't do and mailings were allowed, but there were certain things you couldn't put in mailings. You can only use quotes, but whatever. And awards campaigning over the years has been, obviously it's been very successful for Harvey Weinstein. In basically his campaign got Shakespeare in Love, the Best Picture, over Saving Private Ryan. Very famously, it was all about the campaign instead of the actual film. So they altered rules after that. In 1960, Chill Wills famously put out an Oscar campaign. He campaigned for himself, and he basically said in an ad that even the people that he was in a movie called The Alamo, and he was campaigning for Best Supporting Actor, and he said everybody that was at that died at the Alamo would have voted for Chill Wills. That's what the ad said, and he got a lot. He was supposed to win, and he wound up losing because of all the ill will that went into that ad, which is extremely poor taste. But regardless, so awards campaigning has always been like a question, like how much is too much, what's fair? Because I mean, obviously, the bigger films are going to have more opportunities, or films like maybe like Moonlight and others that this year, aren't going to be able to compete at that level. And so like the new rules have to do with like what you're allowed to serve, how much you can spend, and so forth and so on. And so campaigns have, like the campaigning that studios are doing have definitely seemed to influence voters over the years. What should be the rules, Davy Joe? What, should there be no Q&As, talkbacks? Like what's fair in terms of this campaigning season? Trade ads, whatever.
Well, I feel like I wish they could just get rid of it altogether. Just honestly,
all campaigning should be banned, and any campaigning would mean ineligible for nominations.
I think so. I think. Look, that's not feasible. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I mean, if you look at a movie like Moonlight, it's a small budget. I assume there isn't a lot of money behind it in the campaign. If you're going to do Q&As, like it's expensive to get people, fly people around and get people, together, and it's not really fair.
So there's that aspect, and also the aspect of influencing voters.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the movies should stand on their own weight. And honestly, like, is it that much to ask of people to watch a movie? I mean, like, is it that hard? Like, what? Just watch it and make a decision.
There's a lot of movies though, especially like you look at our list of films from 1966 and the list of films from 2016, and it's almost 3 times as long.
No, I know. It's a lot, but I mean, everyone, especially once the nominations are out. I mean, come on, like, it's not that many.
Well, I mean, the trick is to get the nominations. This campaigning now is to get those nominations. Those nominations come out in like 35 days or something.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of time left. And
but I mean, it's funny because campaigners would say there's not a lot. Public PR people would say there's not a lot of time left. They're starting to feel the heat.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just there's a lot of movies. I mean, it's tough.
So there should be rules, is what it sounds like you're saying.
Absolutely, there should be rules.
How do you feel about the food thing? Should food be served at these events?
I mean, I think that no, screw it, no. You know what?
But how do you get people to come out if you don't serve them food?
Well, the same way you do with the movie theater. You pay for it. You buy it. I mean, like, pack a lunch. Jeez, come on. Like, it's...
J Money, I need you to opine on this.
About what? Food at awards? I'm pro food at awards.
You're pro food at awards. Also, this idea of like how far campaigning can go, like, what?
Well, the whole system is kind of a mess as it is. Back to Davy Joe's point. How hard is it?
Davy Joe made a point.
David Joe was saying, if you're going to be participating in evaluating movies up for awards, maybe you should watch them all. And David Joe has a very solid point about that. Unfortunately, to your point, JB, it's very hard to do that. And I'll say that after trying to do it last year for our awards show. It is not an easy process. However, it has to be done. So perhaps there should be an easier way to evaluate the movies. Maybe there should be a longer time frame. Maybe there should be a better way to actually...
the Academy holds screenings of all the movies. The Academy, like in the Samuel Goldwyn, they hold screenings of all the movies.
Screenings are not going to cut it. That's not going to work around people's schedules. There has to be a better way for people to
actually. They also have the mailers. Nobody objects to the mailers.
No, that's absolutely true. So it feels like there has to be responsibility on the part of the voters. There has to be responsibility on the part of the Academy. And if it doesn't work out, then there should be a new system in general. I mean, the problem is that I don't think anyone really watches these movies anymore. And I think that you see every year so much talk in the press, especially about how it's about campaigns and how campaigns are affecting the outcomes. And certainly last year and the year before that, there was a lot of controversy because of things that happened because of that. I mean, there's a lot of controversy about the lack of diversity. There's a lot of controversy about the way that people voted in general. So there's been all this kickback, and I feel like there has to be a change in the system at some point. Otherwise, it's just going to be more of the same.
Changes regarding diversity. I think that's a separate issue, and we talked about that on a previous dialogue.
I don't think it's a separate issue. I don't think it's a separate issue. I think in this situation, especially because we're talking about whether or not people actually watch the movies. You know, whether or not there's enough diversity in the actual SAG or in the voting public.
So let me break it down. Should there? So the screenings, I think everybody agrees on. The screening and the mailers, everybody thinks is okay. Is that correct? Okay. So
yeah. No, that's fine.
Should there be Q&As allowed at the screenings?
Yeah. Why are these questions up for grabs?
What do you mean?
Well, to me, this is not actually addressing the issue. This is just like little petty stuff that talks about what's happening.
I mean, it's addressing the original diatribe topic in the sense that these are the questions that people are asking because some movies can afford to fly their people around to Davey's point, and some can't. So like the movies that can put the creative people that made the movie in front of a group of voters, and they can talk about the making of the movie and talk about their thought process and seem really intelligent and smart, you know, they get a leg up potentially. That's
why doesn't the Academy cover this?
What's that?
Why doesn't the Academy cover that?
Why would the Academy cover Q&As for all? I mean, they can do one, but I mean, like the PR companies are arranging multiple ones.
Because because it's the Academy that's actually at you know, that has to be behind all this stuff. It's the Academy that's going to get any accolades. It's the Academy that's getting all the credit. I mean, like, why not? Why wouldn't the Academy actually help?
The movie studios, like they're the ones that get the bump in revenue from Oscar nominations.
Well, then that gets back to my original point. The whole system is kind of messed up right now, and they need to figure out a better way to do this.
But it's a business too, so I mean, like they're marketing, they're using it to market their product. But I mean, the question is,
well,
the question is how much that affects the integrity of the awards themselves.
Well, that's the thing. If you want to consider this purely a business, then we don't have any integrity in terms of the awards themselves, and then you pick one or the other. It's not both. You know, it doesn't work that way.
I mean, it has for 88 years.
No, it has not. The Oscars are a joke. Are you kidding me?
People are.
Okay, well, let me disagree on that. Davey, you also think the Oscars are a joke?
No, well, I think people are not. I don't think people think of them as highly as they did 10 years ago. I mean, I think.
Really, as little as 10 years ago?
Or 10, 15, 20. You know, I think that people put more stock. Used to put more stock into it before than they do now. I'm not saying they're less interested now.
I mean, definitely the voters still put a lot of stock into it, whether they take it. So, all right, should Q&As be allowed? Yes or no?
No.
No Q&As because it's an unfair advantage.
I think so. I want but here's the thing. Like, I don't think you get rid of Q&As in general, but I think getting rid of them as part of a campaign, it gets a little tricky.
So Q&As can only happen at Academy-sponsored events. Let's say that.
Or you know, festivals or things like that. Not things that are directly pointed at the voters.
I mean, you do festivals, then then it's a slippery slope again, I think. But
as long as it's not specifically targeted at the voters, it's available to the public at large and not necessarily voting for the Oscars. Okay,
well, I mean, like they don't target voters at large. They go to SAG screenings, which are SAG members,
right.
But they're also Oscar voters.
Yes.
So I do think it's a slippery slope because there's loopholes there.
You gotta rein it in. You gotta. You know, that's kind of, you got to develop rules to make that.
What do you think about trade ads?
That's tough too. It's tough because, you know, I mean, advertising a movie is obviously you can't get rid of that.
No, but the advertisements that specifically say for your consideration.
I agree. Get rid of it.
Get rid of it all. And you already talked no food at these events.
Done. No. Bring your own.
So eating is allowed, they just can't serve it.
or pay for it, whatever.
Okay. All right. And the other thing that's happening is they're having performances. Like they're making these screenings into huge events to promote their films.
Gone.
All right. So Davey wants a stricter academy, and J Money wants an overhaul. I'm scared to ask J Money, what do you want to happen?
Well, all I'm saying is that pick one or the other. Like, if you want to make the Academy really about this sort of like fun environment where people really campaign hard to like make their movie the most popular, then fine. I mean, call it what it is.
No, I get that point. It's make it either a business or make it about the art. I mean, and I think my argument that you always disagree with is I do think that the voters genuinely vote with what they think is the best. I just don't think that you agree with what they vote for.
Well, yeah, no, not necessarily. But I guess I also would say that it just anecdotally, we hear so much about how people don't really have time to evaluate everything that they've been given. And you can't really say it's a fair shake.
And I mean, like your #1 film last year was a film called Hard to Be a God, which I mean, like maybe 2% of the voters actually saw.
No, but I would never expect that to be actually nominated or win an Oscar.
I understand that, but that's the point is that they didn't see it. That's your point.
That's
no,
true,
that's not my point, actually.
But they didn't see it.
But it wasn't even considered.
It was eligible.
Sure it was. Yeah, it was eligible.
Sure, it was eligible.
For foreign film, to me personally, they should have seen it. They should have seen the movie. Be nominated for best foreign film.
Know what, maybe JB, if you want to back up for a second, maybe my issue is the idea that there could be a definitive award show for film on a whole, because I don't believe that that's possible, and I also think the idea of it is ridiculous.
All right. Well, that's a larger subject. I think we should move on. Let's get up Davey's diatribe.
Wait, don't interrupt me. Should it still be celebrated? Yes.
Okay.
Do I have a problem with the idea of the Oscars in general? No, I don't. But let's call it for what it is. I mean, it's about what a certain popular vote requires in this country. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But let's not say it's like it's evaluating the best films of the year. It's not. It's evaluating a certain selection of films within a context of Hollywood.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Davey's diatribe. Can I see the logo coming back up?
Maybe? Yes. There we go.
That has been Davey's diatribe with J Money actually doing a little bit more of a rant. So,
yeah. Good.
It's Davey and J Money's diatribe.
Damn straight.
Damn straight. All right. So now moving right along because we're so far behind. But I hijacked the opening. It is time for my top 5 action comedies. And that's why you're all tuning in here. I know you're here to see my top 5. So you haven't missed much, except you missed a pretty interesting argument about awards campaigning. Davey Joe, you know how you feel okay about that topic?
It was very good.
All right, very good. Thumbs up. And the fans agree as well. All right, so let's talk about the action comedies, shall we? It's another category that's hard to define. Many action films have a few laughs. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark is an example. We talked about it a little bit in the last show. It has many good laughs, but I wouldn't consider it an action comedy per se. I think humor has to take a significant role. With that proviso, I took a few chances that may surprise you, but as usual, I'm prepared to defend myself. Films like Lethal Weapon, The Nice Guys, which we talked about in episode 28.1, I think those are the prototypes for what we think about in the action comedy. Neither of those made the list. And I think, I really, I thought long and hard about this list. Some I think are a little more, I think you'll definitely agree with some, who knows what you guys are going to say, but because some action comedies also, cross over into other genres. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right. Davey's making some notes. He's ready. He wants to attack me, so he's writing up. He's writing up my parameters so we can poke holes in it. All right, number 5. Ready?
Yep.
And then once the photo comes up here, J Money, you could find a photo to pull up full screen. Number 5, ladies and gentlemen, True Lies, directed by James Cameron. So True Lies is unusual in the canon of this director, who surprises, I think, in this movie with his deftness in comedy. I think this movie has great comedy and great action, not always at the same time, but I think, it surely qualifies. If anything, I would say that the script has tangents when it gets too involved with one or the other. I think the performances are great. Tom Arnold helps a lot and support. Arnold is at his peak, I think, of his career. He's very funny. Jamie Lee Curtis won a Golden Globe, very deservedly. I think it needs to be reevaluated in the Cameron canon. I think it's got some great scenes. The striptease here, as J Money pulled up a good photo with Curtis. That's a good example of the comedy. And the bathroom fight. There's a bathroom fight about maybe right after the beginning, right at the first plot point area that I think is really strong in terms of action scene with Arnold in a bathroom in a mall, I think it is, as I recall. So that's True Lies. Guys, what do you think? Davy Joe?
That's a good pick. It's a really good pick. The scene that I'm thinking of right now is when he looks like he's going to jump with the horse, and then the horse throws on the brakes.
Yeah.
Davy Joe, J Money.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to talk about not romantic, if you're going to talk about like action comedies, this has to be on a list somewhere. It's almost to me like a sort of a quintessential model for action comedies. I think it covers both grounds very well.
Cool.
Also, interesting side note, I heard an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis recently where she talked about working in True Lies, and she said that she brought her own wardrobe for all those scenes of the striptease. Like that was actually her own personal clothing that she used for those scenes. Which is pretty impressive. Yeah,
I mean, maybe she was more comfortable in it too, because it's a bold scene for her to do. Are you guys ready for number 4?
Yep.
Also, I think needs to be on a list of quintessential action comedies, but it often gets forgotten about. I think Midnight Run is my number 4 midnight comedy. It's another one I think it's hard to argue with if you have seen the film. It's somewhat forgotten now. I got to see a screening with my buddy Josh last year. He'd never seen it, so I took him because I want him to see it. It's still a crackling, funny film. It's a terrific script by George Gallo. Of course, it's got Charles Grodin here and Robert De Niro. And it's really balanced direction from Martin Brest, who is a master of his genre. Between this and Martin Brest also did Beverly Hills Cop, the original, and in Going in Style, before his career plummeted in a severe way after Gigli, I should say.
Yeah.
It's an unlikely but perfect comedy team, and Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin both are perfect. I will admit it feels at times fairly dated, but it is, but things like the music and some of the jokes. But it's still very smart and very fun. He's cycling through the photos. Very exciting. So Midnight Run, Davey.
Yeah, no, good job. Good job. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Didn't say much, guys. I didn't say much. J Money.
Yeah, I've never actually seen Midnight Run, but it's interesting because I feel like it actually it's a movie that people like overall. I mean, I guess I've always ever heard like it's a really good movie from people. Has it been forgotten? I feel like it's a classic almost in some ways. I mean, I agree, but I don't hear about it as much, and I think part of that has to do with the demise of Martin Brest, and that is like severe demise. And Martin Brest made the speaking of Danny DeVito, Martin Brest made one of the best student films I've ever seen, and it starred an unheard of Danny DeVito. It's like late 60s, before Danny DeVito was anybody, and Martin Brest cast a random. He was a student at NYU, and he cast Danny DeVito like off an audition. Like, Danny DeVito was rooming with Gene Hackman at the time, and he cast him, randomly, or was it Michael Douglas he was rooming with? I don't remember, but he cast him in the movie, and it's a great short film. It's a great student film, and they both went on to do these careers. We talked about Danny DeVito in our Romancing the Stone conversation not too long ago, but it's a great short film. It's called Hot Dogs for Gauguin. Anyway, that's beside the point. Martin Brest made some great films. I really like Son of a Woman. Son of a Woman gets a bad rap now too, but it's not an action comedy, but Martin Brest made that as well. I don't love Meet Joe Black that much, but a lot of people do. So anyway, that's you've never seen it, so it's going to go on your list of things you need to watch now. Yeah, I mean, I really should have watched it a while ago. It's one of those movies from the 80s that I was obviously too young for when it came out, and I just never got around to catching up on it later on. But I've only ever heard positive things about it.
Cool. Well, I'm going to move on to number 3. And now the top 3 are great movies, but I think we're going to start arguing now about what qualifies as an action comedy, what doesn't. And I think these are action comedies. And the next one I think is one of the most well-written comedies of all time with a lot of action. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghostbusters is my number 3. And I mean, people forget about this one because it's got the paranormal elements. But I mean, like, if you look at it, it's a boilerplate action comedy. The action's not as violent as, say, Lethal Weapon or Beverly Hills Cop, but it's still action, albeit silly action. And the comedy is so much better than those other films. Like I said a few minutes ago, it's like a near perfect screenplay. There's so many classic moments. Bill Murray is outstanding. And, you know, in an iconic role. There he is right there. You know, we're showing for their podcast audio listening group, showing his interview. He's doing the psychic test in the beginning. Photo of that. I think it's a great movie, and I think it perfectly qualifies. I'm ready for some argument. So, J Money.
It's funny you got to be first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily put it in an action comedy area, but I see your point quite a bit. So, it's adventure and it's comedy. It's a lot like Romancing the Stone in that sense, right? I mean, there's a quality to that I totally understand. So, yeah, sure. If you want to call it an action comedy, okay.
That was a close one, guys. Davey?
I'm with you. I think it's totally in bounds.
Okay. What are you looking at your phone? What's going on? Are you bored? Do you have a date coming up? You swiping on Tinder? What's going on?
That's awesome.
I'm doing my top 5 here. You got to pay attention.
I'm writing it down.
All right. Now, so our next one is, again, you wouldn't necessarily think of as an action comedy, but I mean, like, I think if you look at it very closely, it is the prototype for what became the action comedy, and it's a '60s movie, but I think it's what the buddy picture becomes. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, look at you, guessed it.
Yes.
Look at that. J Money guessed it before I pulled it up. The Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, number 2, and it's a top 25 all-time film for me. It's mainly obviously thought of a Western, and it's you know, on our Western bracket and all this stuff, but the script by William Goldman is, you know, and the performances are intelligent, charming, and very funny. Again, the action itself is light, but there's 2 sequences where the potential for action is far more engaging than anything that we're used to. The who are those guys chase in sort of like around the first plot point, and the finale in Bolivia where that photo, the cornered photo, should be coming up any moment now. There it is. Boom. The finale in Bolivia, those 2 sequences are terrific from an action point of view. I mean, I think it's a template to films like 48 Hours, Lethal Weapon, Rush Hour, Ride Along, even The Nice Guys that we talked about, episode 28.1. So, David Joe.
You're doing a really good job here.
Positive. You know, I do like the positive reinforcement, so I appreciate that. Good job. All right, J Money, you guessed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think you're taking a fair amount of liberties with the idea of what an action comedy is, because I feel like an action comedy really is a very specific kind of genre.
Is it?
But I agree that this is definitely a prototype buddy film, and there's action in it, and it also has a fair amount of comedy. So by that logic, yes, it is an action comedy.
David Joe, how do you feel about this? About J Money's narrowing of the rules here with action comedy?
I don't understand what he's saying. It's not action. It's a comedy.
So it's just like any other Tuesday.
Yeah, it's true.
But Jamie, what the 4 so far, which ones you think are like action comedies?
I don't even think that the idea of the genre really existed before the 80s. I mean, I really feel like action comedy as a label kind of came out of a certain type of film starting kind of in the 80s. I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
So 48 Hours then would sort of be the first action comedy?
It's one of the ones that's considered one of the early prototypes of it. But I mean, back to your point, JB, like what you're talking about in terms of buddy films and in terms of like, you know, the sort of like repartee you might expect from that kind of thing. Yeah, it exists. It exists in this movie. It exists even before this movie. So certainly it would fall into the category. I guess it just depends on what kind of parameters we want to set. I mean,
well, I know. I mean, and I had to set them for myself, in advance, so that this is what I set for myself. And
I'm not complaining.
I was on the fence about this other one too. So I actually went as far as calling an old film professor to see if they felt like this one would qualify. Because I mean, like, it really felt like it should in my heart of hearts, but I'm like, I thought I would double check it. And it's pre-'80s as well. Also top 25 all time. I got Hitchcock. I got North by Northwest. I mean, certainly as a film, it's considered to be amazing, but it is an action comedy. Like, I feel like I'm Seinfeld all of a sudden. Where are the socks? Yeah, I mean, it's and I immediately think about it, and it's fresh in my mind because I screened it about a month ago in Los Angeles, and it'll be coming up for discussion for us in 2017. Jay Money's still looking for photos. It's top 20 all time for me, and people forget how funny this movie is. Like, I mean, like, at the screening, people were cracking up. Cary Grant, one-liner after one-liner, and it has some amazing. And this scene alone that we've been showing a picture of him and Eva Marie Saint on the train, and the comedy requires just as much writing and directing precision as action, if not more so. And Hitchcock and company proved deft at both. Ernest Lehman's screenplay is considered to be one of the best ever. It's Cary Grant that provides all the quips that make this into an action comedy. And of course, the two most famous scenes provide the excitement between the plane. There it is. Thank you very much. Oh, that's Seth Rogen you got, by the way.
Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. I can't actually see anything, so I'm kind of like,
It's Seth Rogen recreating the plane chase, and also the Mount Rushmore sequence at the end. We'll discuss it obviously in more detail in 2017 because we're actually going to do a separate show just for this movie. There's the Mount Rushmore moment. We're showing a picture of that now. So North by Northwest, my number one. Again, I feel like it has all the elements that Jay Money just mentioned. It just was not considered a genre at the time. So Jay Money, the floor is yours.
Oh, well, yeah, this is really stretching the limits of it for me personally. I mean, I don't, the thing is, first off, I don't consider it an action movie. I consider it a thriller. And there really is a distinction between those two things.
Sure.
There are action elements in this film, but ultimately I think it's more compelling.
I can see that. I'm curious what the audience would say. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, just in terms of the suspense of what's actually happening with the character, with Cary Grant's character, there's a lot of comedic elements because they're kind of played against that tension. But I don't feel like it's necessarily a comedic film. I guess that's where I would break it down.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, it is consistently funny.
Yeah, well, but it's consistently varying between those two ideas, right? It's like, I guess I feel like an action comedy is always violence and then a joke. And then
it sounds like you've got a much more. Like North by Northwest, as taut as it is a joke. Like it is. I mean, like it is. It does not take itself that seriously.
I guess I feel like the stakes are higher in North by Northwest than they might be in certain other films that we've talked about. But I guess
Cassidy, the stakes are pretty high, I think.
Yeah, well, I would say that Butch Cassidy is also kind of on the edge of the perimeters for me on this one. But
okay, well, we're going to also talk about North by Northwest in 2017. We're going to do a whole show on it, so maybe we can address that. Davey Joe?
You know how you said people forget how funny North by Northwest is? At camp, I don't remember it being real funny, but it's been a few years since I've seen it. So yeah, I don't think of it as funny, but I would have to watch it again, and I will.
And you will. You'll have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it.
Look, I was on the fence about. I mean, like I knew it was the best film on the bunch, and I was on the fence about it, but that's why I made the call because I'm like, hey, what do you think? They're like, yeah, I think it is. So I put it at the top.
Interesting.
I like it. Well, it's good to be controversial, man. You don't want this.
And I do it just for you, Davey Joe, because I know it increases the views, and I know how you feel about it.
Let me say this: if it is considered, I mean, if you can fit it into the category, then I feel like it really elevates the category. I guess I feel like action comedy in general.
Well, I mean, like I said, I had to make my own parameters because it's not like you guys like made the parameters for me. I mean, like if I knew it was 48 hours and onward, I would have had a different list. I would have considered maybe Shane Black's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Well, there is a movie here that you listed that I'm surprised in not making the list because I feel like it is another quintessential sort of action comedy.
Well, I don't like Lethal Weapon, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, that's what Yeah, you don't like it, Lethal Weapon, huh?
Oh, I don't like Lethal Weapon. I think Lethal Weapon's like, it's kind of like dumb. It's like, it feels
well,
like
yeah, it's an action comedy.
Overrated.
I understand it's an action comedy. I said that in my opening. I just don't think it's good.
All right.
I don't like it either.
There you go.
You don't like any of the Lethal Weapons, Davy Joe?
Yeah. Nope.
I'm surprised.
They're pretty dumb. They're pretty silly.
Yeah, but that's kind of part of the category.
I mean, I didn't like Nice Guys either.
See, I like the Nice Guys.
You know what? No, I'm going to stick up for Lethal Weapon 1. I think Lethal Weapon 1 is actually it's better than you guys are thinking it is. I think that there's a lot more going on in it than you maybe are giving credit for.
All right.
Well,
there's a lot of
like
subtext
bracket, so maybe we'll get to it eventually.
All right, fair enough. There's a lot of subtext about like suicide. There's a lot of weird emotional things that are happening in that movie. Mel Gibson is still kind of raw and interesting. I think there's more going on there. Also, by the way, it's also kind of a Christmas movie. It happens around Christmas, and I love it when they twist those things together.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, no argument's action comedy. The argument is that it's whether or not it's good. So, we'll see. I mean, I think Midnight Run is an example of a movie that is a lot sharper than Lethal Weapon, and has more depth, I think. So anyway, so guys, I did have a second run plan, but I mean, we're a little past the time when I wanted to do it. Should we just call it a night and save it for another time?
Yeah, let's just save it.
Yay! So that means it's time for the roll call. You ready for the slide there, Tiger?
Well, I'm all mixed up now that I had to find this other thing. Hang on.
Uh-oh, you had to find another thing. Davy Joe has got his pad ready.
Totally threw me off. There you go.
Oh my gosh, we're just like waiting all sorts of time here. There it is. Societal roll call. Look at our fun photos there. All right, so this is the segment of the evening where it's requested by you, the audience, where you just like we talk about so many movies over the course of the evening. You just want us to recap it all. And Davey is in charge of that, and he does a pretty piss poor job. And so I saw him taking notes all night. So maybe tonight's the night that he does better. What do you think his odds are, J Money?
50-50.
That's faith right there. All right, Davy Joe, floor is yours. What are the movies that we talked about tonight?
I'm going to start off with a movie that I couldn't think of the name of. It was All Quiet on the Western Front. That was that movie that you discussed your rule of, 45? Something like that?
180-degree rule. It's a pretty common filmmaking rule.
Yeah, all right, or that. 90-degree rule, all right. I was right, though, that was the movie that you discussed that.
Okay. All Quiet on the Western Front is episode 13.3, if anybody wants to watch. It's a pretty good discussion.
We talked about, the first movie that we did was Miss Sloane. Approach.
It was so long ago. I know it's hard to remember. Here, look, I'll make it easy for you.
There you go.
There you go.
And then we did Drive, which was made by.
We didn't talk about any other movies during Miss Sloane?
I don't know.
Not even The Debt?
What's that?
The Debt?
No, we didn't get to The Debt until the.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, so Drive is the next film we talked about?
Drive, right. And then, so we also mentioned Valhalla Rising and Neon Demon, also Nicholas Winding Refn movies. Then we talked about...
Bronson, I think, was the one I was trying to think of.
Bronson? Okay. And Only God
Forgives.
Only
God Forgives.
Only God Forgives.
Yeah. I've never seen a movie by him I didn't like. We did Zemeckis. The classic film was why did I write it? Yeah, let me click on mute. Yeah. Romance in the Stone. The
David,
sequel to that, of course. The sequel to that is, of course, Jewel of the
David's
Nile.
just joining us, ladies and gentlemen.
joining us. He's coming in late, so it's okay.
Jewel of the Nile, which is, of course, the inferior sequel. Other movies by Zemeckis are Allied. That's the one that's in theaters now. The Walk came out last year. Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, Death Becomes Her, Contact. Check out those.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? We talked about as well.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? All right, good point.
You don't have to write it down now. We're done the show.
Point taken. So okay. Then we talked about then during the sound off, which is what we're in now. We talked about the debt. Basically kind of comparing it to Miss Sloane as both John Madden films with Chastain.
Other John Madden films that you might want to check out. Obviously, we also talked about Shakespeare in Love, another John Madden film.
It's right here.
During our Davies Diatribe. And also Ethan Frome is another film by John Madden that is worthwhile.
Oh, he did Ethan Frome? That's hilarious.
We talk about
Ethan Frome hilarious.
It's a hilarious movie. Thank you.
You mentioned Shame in some context. I wrote it down. I don't know. Shame.
Two Carey Mulligan indies.
Okay, there you go. And we talked about The Conspirator as far as the cinematography. Who's the cinematographer?
His name is Newton Thomas Seigel.
And what else did he do that you compared it to?
The Conspirator.
The Conspirator. Well, yeah. What?
Drive.
Drive. Gotcha. Okay, Drive.
He also did the original X-Men, the Bryan Singer X-Men, and also Three Kings, I believe, from 1999.
Okay.
Those are all great movies.
David O. Russell film, except for The Conspirator, according to you.
Yep.
But The Conspirator, by the way, you can hear a discussion of The Conspirator in episode 24.2, and you can hear a discussion of Shame in 23.2. Shame also had Carey Mulligan, as did Drive, which we talked about tonight. Davey, take it away.
So, we also talked about the whole concept of campaigning for the Oscars, and you noted that Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan, most likely due to the campaign. You also mentioned the Alamo and the campaign that who was the actor?
So it was Chill Wills.
Chill Wills. We talked about how a movie like Moonlight might be at a disadvantage because it's doesn't have the money behind it that maybe some other films have. Talked about you did your top 5 action comedies. They were True Lies, Midnight Run, Ghostbusters, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, North by Northwest. Then you also movies that qualified but you did not choose were Nice Guys, Lethal Weapon, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. You also mentioned Geely as a movie that was not good. That kind of ruined whose career was it?
So it was Martin Brest. He directed Midnight Run, but he also directed Beverly Hills Cop, Going in Style, and Son of a Woman, and Meet Joe Black.
Yeah, and I had written all of those down. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. That's what I got.
That brings us up to date?
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about the evening overall?
It was good.
I have to say this is the first time, I mean, we're running the risk of causing a problem now, but this is the first time ever that we've been on time for all 4 shows. Have you noticed that? Ever.
It's amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
That is kind of crazy.
I mean, like, we did it. Like, we figured out a way to make United. I didn't have photos to do, and we still did it. So it's very exciting. So it's I feel momentous because it's something that stresses me out week after week. So, or show after show, whatever it is. And we've got another show coming up And last year at Christmas time, we did Force Awakens. So now our final show of 2016 is going to be, we're going to go back to Star Wars universe first, Rogue One, which J Money in particular is excited about. J Money are seeing it. J Money and I already have tickets, and we're seeing it together without Davy Joe. Because Davy Joe, for someone that's technically the boss, he is someone that will not respond to our emails.
When are you going?
It's a reserved seat, so you can't come really.
When though? When are you going?
Saturday, December 17th.
Okay.
You know, I have to say, I know nothing about this film. I haven't even seen a trailer yet. So
how's that possible? They're everywhere.
Yeah,
just completely zoom. I mean, it hasn't been a trailer for any of the films that we've seen recently, at least for me.
Okay. Well, I go to the movies a lot more, I guess.
Yeah.
I think you do.
Me too.
Yeah. So that answers that. So Rogue One's next, everybody. That's coming up on Tuesday. Nope, it's a Monday. Coming up on Monday, December 19th, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. And then, of course, the Indie Spotlight at 8:30, Classic Feature at 9, and then Sound Off at 10. And all that's going to happen on Monday, December 19th. And I'll be in Astoria. No, I won't be there. I'll be in Riverdale. I'll be back in Riverdale by then, back in the Bronx, which we've done several shows at from that location. So stay in tune on Facebook and Twitter for clues as to what the Indie Spotlight and Classic might be. Also, look at our blogs. Number one thing you need to do is subscribe to our channel. Number two thing is like the videos, like a little thumbs up on YouTube. That'd be cool. So keep us posted, and also tweet us or Facebook us with questions. If you've got questions or comments that you want to make, we really enjoy talking with you guys. So you guys have anything you want to add to that?
Nope.
Make us famous.
Don't make us famous. Except Kelly Ripa. You need to bring me on.
Kelly Ripa make us famous. That's right.
That's right. Kelly Ripa will make us famous. And with that, the 36th meeting of the No Name Cinema Society is adjourned.
Yay.